I'm New York City Councilmember Andy King. I represent the 12th District of the Northeast section of the Bronx. And it is quite cool and chilly out here on the Bronx day, but I will cut to the chase why we are actually here. Last week, I got a communication that there were some issues in Public School 41 in regards to the bathrooms that were having some challenges. And then I go home, my granddaughter attends school here, and she brings to my attention a letter that was given to her in regards to issues with the water system that was happening here. As a resident, as a parent, as someone who even graduated from the school, I understand the importance of making sure that the buildings that our children go to acquire an education is always safe. So that all being said, today we are here standing in solidarity with my good friend Donald Nesbitt, who's the Vice President of Local 372, who handles the union that's responsible for our lunch service workers inside, as well as Alice Cooper Jackson, UFT District 11 rep, which we know represents our teachers, as well as Bob Jeanette, who's also the Assistant Director of the Council Supervisors Administration, which supervises the union for our administrators and principals, as well as Nakim Henderson, who is a student at PS 41, as well as Stephen O'Shea and John O'Shea from the Division of School Facilities, as well as Alosi, and I'm messing up this last name, forgive me, Chief of Staff of the Office of the Deputy Chancellor. I want everybody to be real clear that the letter that was sent home last Friday was alarming to some, somewhat educational, but some of the parents didn't totally get all the information. So I've been receiving calls over the Friday, Saturday, emails, calls from students telling me about the bathroom problem, but more importantly, being fearful of what was happening in this building with the water. The letter that was given, that was sent out, which I have a copy of it here, and I applaud New York City for doing new and additional testing, because the testing they did in the previous past did not depict actually what the levels of lead that were in the water. But when they did a new testing as of January 12th, the results that came back showed that 10 out of 63 items inside this building tested positive. So what does that actually mean for this building? What does it mean? Well, it means that there are some challenges inside this building, and the DOE has said that whether it's drinking water or it's water for the food that's being cooked or just in classrooms, that they will shut down all of these locations until they're able to remediate and fix the problem. I applaud the DOA for doing. That's why we're working with facilities to make sure that we do all that we can to make sure that this building is safe. Is the water safe to drink inside this building? Once you have one issue and you cut something off, we're not saying that it's not safe, but we want to make sure that we have precautionary measures in place for any child who's washing their hands, or any worker that's washing their hands, or if anybody who's drinking water, that everything is okay. The DOE has assured me that everything is okay, but I know, and their parents know, that they are concerned. So in order to address their concerns, we figure, how do we get in front of the conversation while providing some solutions, while DOE and the Department of Facilities, School Facilities, address this issue. My ask of the DOE and for facilities to do what they can as quickly as possible, that we can remedy the situation. Now, the testing that has occurred all over the city. Again, I applaud the DOE for retesting, because they had this thing before where they used the flush, and then after they were flushed, they would test. But what was happening when they would flush and do the testing, it wasn't as accurate if they didn't flush. So we're getting accurate levels of where the lead levels are in our buildings all across the city, and we know that DOE and the city will and must respond. Here in the 12th district itself, we have roughly about 23 out of about 36 schools who have tested positive. So that means we got a little work to do. And that's okay to have a little work to do, because the only way you fix something is to uncover that something needs to be done. Today is about making sure that we have a real conversation to assure everyone from parents, teachers, and our young people why we're standing here that everything is going to be fine, because those are the adults who are responsible or working together to make sure that we remedy any issue that might be having in this building. Secondly, I want to add that one of the things that I was very disturbed about, and it's not even about the water and the lead. This building is over 75 years of age. That means what? Anything that's 75 plus or anything needs some maintenance. And that means if we got to update some pipes, if we got to update some fixtures, then we must do so. We can no longer in the city of New York look at our structures that have such architectural designs which are beautiful that we neglect the infrastructure inside it. So I'm calling on us and the council to do all that we can to help the DOE with whatever finances that we have to do to make sure that our buildings are up to code, and making sure definitely bathrooms in a building such as this one are renovated. When I went inside, they will tell you their story. I walked in and I saw some of the same fixtures that we had when I was here so many years ago. And I said, something has to be done. To watch young people have challenges of trying to flush toilets, that's a problem. So now it becomes another issue of sanitation, and being sanitary within the building, where we've known that a number of the patchwork that has been done with concrete has made some of the bathrooms so porous that kids who, the aim is off or don't get there, you have bathrooms smelling full of urine. That's not conducive to a positive learning environment. So I make a commitment to Madam Principal, to the teachers, to the children, of making sure that us and the council, I'm guaranteeing that we're going to put $400,000 to help renovate every bathroom in this building, so no child has a problem with going to the bathroom, going in afraid to go to the bathroom, mad they can't go to the bathroom, sitting in the classroom all uptight because they can't go to the bathroom, let alone bringing up the codes of every bathroom that's in this building. That's my charge of being a resident, a parent, and a city council member, to making sure that this school is brought up to code. When it comes to the situation regarding the lead, we're going to do all that we can. There have been coolers that have been brought in. I'm donating cases of water to make sure that we're okay. Just to be on the side, I'd rather err on the side of precaution and protect our children as opposed to trying to protect any system. They are the reason why we all get up and work, whether it's in the council or school facilities or unions or teachers or DOE. We do it for them. So that's what today is all about, making sure that we save the environment, make sure the environment's okay, and if we err on the side of precaution by overstepping, I'd rather us overstep than coming back next week or 2 weeks from now and say, oops, we should have did it differently the first time out and about and around. So that all being said, I want to bring up from school facilities to come up Mr. O'Shea to talk about how we're going to make some more things work here for the school. Thank you, Mr. O'Shea.
Thank you very much, Councilman King. I want to say thank you on both issues. I applaud your commitment to try to improve the maintenance in our bathrooms. With the help and the partnership of the City Council over the past few years, School Facilities has been given $100 million to renovate bathrooms in all of our school buildings across the city. And if we can get a few more dollars specific to PS 41 here, I think that's terrific. We really appreciate that. And with regards to the lead issue, I also really appreciate the fact that you are getting the message out about the communications of our lead protocol and our lead testing that we are doing. As the councilman mentioned, all across New York City, as part of a citywide testing program for all of our schools, we're testing the water and getting results back as they come in. I want to say to everybody, the parents, the students, and the community, that our strongest message here is that the water in our buildings is safe. But that does not mean that when we do the testing that there are not some fixtures that do have some elevated levels of lead. That's normal. That happens in buildings all across the city. That doesn't mean that we don't have to do something about that. We do, and we have a very strict protocol in place that's been developed in partnership with the Department of Health to make sure that fixtures are isolated where we have elevations, and those fixtures are immediately repaired as soon as we can get them done. As the councilman said, there were 10 fixtures in this building that were tested elevated for lead. 4 of them were water drinking fountains, which were the most important ones, and those fixtures are now isolated, and by the end of this week we will have them replaced and we will test them again before we put them back into service. So this is a big project, and we need all the help we can get, so I really appreciate it, Councilman, that you've joined us in this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Associate. Thank you. I'd like to bring up Mr. Donald Desmond, Vice President of Local 372.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're here, and I stand with Councilman King and all of the my union brothers and sisters and the children today to simply say that erring on the side of precaution is definitely a great thing that the councilman has done. He's bringing water to the kids. You know, he's putting the money where his mouth is. This is definitely a great thing. We all remember what happened in Flint, Michigan, where people had said we should look at this, we should look at that, and you know, people ignored it. And because of that, it's predicted that 30 years from now, the water system there will not be corrected. So doing these things beforehand is definitely a great thing, and we do it because of the children. If there's anything that we remember, children are 20 to 25% of our population, but they're 100% of our future, so we have to protect them. We have to. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So with that all being said, that's why we're here today. It wasn't about the blame game. It wasn't about, you know, who in an administration was at fault. You know, we have pipes. As told you, this school is over 75 years old, so the mayor wasn't in office when the school was built. The chancellor wasn't in office when the school was built. Lord knows I wasn't in when the school was built, let alone any of us who are standing here. But we have a responsibility when something hits our table to be able, let's talk about it and then figure out a way to fix it. So I want to thank everyone today to help get our message out to every parent. And this week we're also looking to sit down with the parent community, along with the Department of Education, the Department of Health, and have a more further detailed information about what does this all mean with the testing that's been happening across the city, and if your school finds any elevated levels of lead, as well as being patient with us as we renovate. But while we're being patient, I am putting the call in, I'm putting the ask in. I don't want to say I'm demanding, but I am strongly urging and I'm asking for the help of all of our adults to make sure that these bathrooms do all that we can to expedite by fall season that each one of these bathrooms are done over. I guarantee you $400,000, whatever you got in the kiddie, the school facilities, you need to make sure, because if you were to walk through and see the bathroom, you would not want your own child to go to the bathroom here. And that's not acceptable. When they're here to learn fractions of math, they should not be worrying about biology at the same time. So with that all being said, I want to thank everybody. If there are any questions right now, we'll be glad and we're willing to take them at this time.
Yeah, the $400,000, is that going to be released right now, or is this in terms of capital funding?
It's going to be capital funding. I've already made a commitment, and we've been talking, and we're going to get started on this work. There is the major bathroom down here that has been out of commission. We've talked and we've worked, we figured out the numbers, found the money to get it up and running. There's no way that the largest bathroom in here is shut down for weeks because of a steam leak. That's unacceptable. Again, it's about our young children. It's not about the adults. It's about our young children. And that's what we're going to do. I'm here to advocate for them, the voices for the young and the elderly who don't get the chance to advocate for themselves so much. It's up to us who are in positions to advocate and deliver on the promise of safety and education to do so.
So any idea when the work will get started?
We already have 2 bathrooms that are scheduled with the existing funding, and then as soon as we get the additional funding, we can move to start the design on those. Understand that this is not just a facelift, that when we renovate a bathroom like this, we have to upgrade it to ADA compliance, do a number of other things to make it to current code. So these aren't simple projects, but as soon as we get the funding, we'll be able to start working on those bathrooms right away.
Any other questions?
Hi, I went here as a young student. Now my son actually attends here. I want to know, are you guys going to be like doing anything in terms of accessibility for disabilities, like elevators? There's a lot of stairs to climb up and down.
Well, I will say that's probably the next press conference. But right now, no, there is no plan for elevators. And I do understand, again, the number of our schools are, been in New York for decades. And, as the rules changes, and as he said, anytime you do major renovations, you have to figure out how you're in compliance with 2017 as opposed to what was in, play in 1937. But, you know, today these bathrooms, you know, we're going to do a major. We looked at the bathrooms and we saw that so much vacant space. I was in the school with, and I'm watching the kids. The girls have to go to the bathroom, and it was like a inside field trip for them to go to the bathroom because there's like 2 stalls and a whole bunch of space, and they just line up. And the way they designed it, you have different bathrooms on each floor. So the 4th floor is the boys' bathroom. 3rd floor is the girls' bathroom. The boys on the 2nd floor. So if you're on the 1st floor, and that's why I got a call from an 8-year-old saying my classroom was on the 1st floor and I got to go to the 3rd floor to go to the bathroom. Doesn't make any sense. You know, so we got to figure out within this, and that's why I said it's not about patchworking. It's about renovating all the bathrooms that they make sense today, because I'd rather us do it right one time so when no one's back here 30 years or 15 years from now having this same conversation, because there haven't been any upgrades since the school's been built. So if we're going to do it right, I say do it right or don't do it at all, and the goal is to do it right. Thank you for your question, Ma. Any other questions?
Just to clarify, all of the elevated levels of lead were found in water. There were no windowsills or anything else that were tested positive, or?
No, there were no windowsills tested. I have just water, and he did call them off. We had 2 in the classrooms, 4 drinking waters, and 2 bathrooms. Total of 10 locations inside the building. And the letter went home, said that they were cutting off the cooking water and the drinking water for precaution until they get it fixed. That's where I think was some of the confusion with some of the parents that called me, because they say if you're cooking off the cooking water, that means something's wrong in the kitchen. So we have to be real clear, and I say this to all of us who send out material. When parents get it, sometimes we got to send stuff out for the reader, and if you omit something, or you can't send me and say, okay, you're wearing a blue jacket, but then when I say, oh, you're wearing a blue jacket, no, it's not really a blue jacket, it's so-and-so and so-and-so. It gets really confusing. So we want to make sure that we really detail when we send anything home to our parents, let alone having more conversations, because I know sometimes the parents miss something that's in a child's book bag, and then 3 weeks later we're having a parents coming in going ballistic because no one had a conversation with them. So today is the conversation. So I thank each and every one of you to help us get the information out, not just about the Bronx, but all over the city, that the challenges that might happen or the conversation that might be spirited just because of this conversation today. Because people need to know, and they need to know how to act responsibly.
Thank you.
There are not any more questions. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We'll let you know more about when we meet with the Department of Health to continue this conversation. But when we finish this, we'll invite you back at the completion of everything we get done here today. So again, thank you, and wish everyone a wonderful rest of the day, and stay warm.